In this video, we're taking a look at Swarm UI, which is a user interface that works with ComfyUI editor and makes it a little bit easier to use on the day-to-day. If you like videos like this, make sure to hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell notification to make sure you don't miss any of our tutorials. Okay, so here we are on the stable Swarm UI page. You can see that it's an alpha version, so this is very, very early on, but my God, is it ever good. I'm going to show you how to install it, get it up and running, and how to install things like custom nodes within it, because it's kind of a learning process. It's not like normal ComfyUI, so we'll go through that. Also, as always, the links will be down below in the description, so you can go download this and give it a try for yourself. So let's go ahead and scroll down. We're going to go to the Windows installation, because we're using Windows as always. And you can see here, there's an installation.bat, so very, very easy. It's just a bat file that you run. Also, note, they say do not put in your program files. So, as always, I have it on my Stable Diffusion drive that I keep just for Stable Diffusion. And you can see here I've created a folder called Swarm, and I've already downloaded the install windows.bat. And all we're going to do is we're going to double click this and run it. And it'll only take a second. Now, it may install a few things that you need. So if you have some prerequisites it needs to run for the first time, it'll install in that first part. So it may not be as quick as what that was, but once you're all set up, you're going to get the Swarm folder. Now, from the Swarm folder, we have to launch the Windows bat. Okay. And what it's going to do is it's going to continue to check for prerequisites and things that it may need. And then it's going to load. And what you're going to get is an installation window. I know, crazy, right? Because in Stable Diffusion, we rarely get a walkthrough of the installation, which is awesome. So you have the Stable Diffusion model license already on the front page. We can scroll all the way down. You can see here we have step 1 through 6, so we got a few to go through, so we'll hit agree. Next, you get to choose how you want Swarm to look. I like the gravity blue. There's also Dark Dreams and I Seer White, which is very bright. So I'm going to stick with gravity blue. You can decide how you want this installed. Right now, there's only a couple options, just for yourself on this PC or just for yourself on LAN access. I always choose LAN access because what I end up doing is I actually port this to my website and make it so that I can get it from anywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to say yes to this. Next. Now it's going to say, do you want to install ComfyUI? We're going to click on yes for that. Now, if you had it running on a server, you do have the API key here for the stability API. However, we're not doing that, so we're just going to go ahead with this. We're not going to skip the backend install because I want to go through the entire process here. So I can click next. Now, I'm not going to download any of these models, but you can see you have models to choose from. You have Stable Diffusion 1.5. version 2.1, SDXL, Base 1, and the Refiner. I have all those models, so I'm not going to worry about downloading it, but if you click them, it will download them and put them in the right folder for you. I can click next. And it's going to say, are you sure you want to install? Because we've picked a few things, we're going to say yes, I am happy with that. And now we're going to let the install progress begin. Now it's going to download about 1.3 gigabytes of data. So that can take a minute depending on your internet connection. But you can see that the installation process is fairly simple. It walks you right through this part. But there are some parts that we're going to see some hangups on where we kind of need to modify some things or go find where something lives so that we can actually be able to install custom nodes and all the stuff that we love. But once we have that, man, does this interface rock, because you can have a custom ComfyUI workflow, but yet have something that's even easier than automatic 11.11 to use on the front end. So you only have to build your graphs once, and then you have this incredible user interface to use instead of having to look at all your spaghetti mess. So there we go. It's done downloading the 1.33 gigs. Now it's going to extract that. And what that's doing is it is now extracting all the files into this folder. So while it's doing that, I'm going to go back here and go back and grab our models. And you know the models I love. So it's going to be the Refiner, Base, New Dawn, and Dream Shaper. So we have all of those. And we're just going to copy those. I'm going to come back to the Swarm folder, Swarm UI. And you'll see there's a models out here. Now notice this is not like the ComfyUI folder. So some models can be placed here, and some models will be placed within the ComfyUI folder, which will show you where that is. So we go to models, Stable Diffusion and paste our models in. And we can do this while this finishes extracting. There's no problem with that. Okay, so we have our models in place. You'll now notice that we get an error because I didn't have the models placed when it booted up for the first time. What we can just do is come down here to Models and click the refresh and select our model and clear that error. So now we have our user interface. So you can see here, I've run it before, so there's some settings here from before. But what you can see here is that you have your negative prompt here, your positive prompts under the window where your image will show up. On the right side here, this is like a gallery of the things you're currently generating. You have image history, which is going to be right here. You have VAEs if you use them, LoRa's if you use them, embeddings, control nets, and other tools. Now, if we scroll down, you can see here, we have how many images we want to create. Do we want to use a fixed seed or a random seed? So -1 for random seed, or click the dice. And to use the same seed, we can use the recycle button. You can see here we have steps, how many steps you want to use, CFG scale, variation seed. So it will change the seed partway through your generation, which is really fun to play with sometimes. You have resolution. These are all built in. So you have all these resolutions that work. And the really neat thing is, if we go ahead and we load, let's say Dream Shaper, which is a Stable Diffusion 1.5, you'll notice that it sets the resolution to 512 by 512. But if I click on New Dawn XL, which is an XL based, you'll see it changes it to 1024 by 1024. So natively, it knows based on this specific model, I need to do this, which is awesome because I have done generations before where I forget to change. Initial image. So this is if you want to do image to image, you have image and image mask. This is just built right in. You don't even have to look at the comfy UI interface whatsoever. You have your refiner model. So if you're using your refiner, how do you want it to work? So we can close that, turn it back off for now. And then you have control net. So once again, if you're using control nets, comfy UI, you have the ability to use custom workflows, and I'm going to show you how to do that, but I'm going to leave that off for now because I don't actually like to use this. I like to do it a different way, but we do also have our sampler, so we can have Euler and whatever we need is all right here. And then we have advanced options. And advanced options will become more prevalent later as we start doing custom workflows, but you can come down here and see what's available. There's the revision model, VAE, advanced sampling, dynamic thresholding, all that stuff is down here. If you want free U turned on, it's down here. Scoring, it's all in the advanced, but you can hide it if you don't need it. Okay, so here we are in the Comfy UI editor. We all know this is what we've been working with the whole time. And you can see here that we can make changes. We can create our own workflows. So let's say we want to add a upscaler. Well, first things first, we're going to need an upscale model for the way that we upscale. So I'm going to go back here, and this is really important too, because this will show you that this is where stuff is hidden. So we're going to go all the way back, and I'm going to grab my copy of 4X Ultra Sharp. I'm going to copy that, Swarm UI, and it's in DL backend. Comfy UI, or just Comfy UI, and then this is where all the other stuff is. So if we go to models, upscale models, we can paste that there. Now let's say we also want to have a custom node. So we can go here to custom nodes. And what we're going to install is we're going to install the Comfy UI Manager. If you're not familiar with it, I do have a video about it. But Comfy UI Manager, here's their GitHub. And what we're going to do is just grab the git clone. They write it for me, so I don't have to. Okay, so we are in custom nodes in the Comfy UI within Swarm. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click up here, type in CMD, and that's going to open up a terminal window. And I'm just going to paste the git clone in there. hit OK, and there we go. It is now installed. So now what I can do is shut down Swarm. Okay, so we're gonna get rid of that. And now, when we run Swarm, gotta go all the way back, launch windows.bat. It's gonna go through, load that. And now one thing you'll notice too is that it's starting a server, a backend server. So it just takes a minute for it to connect to Comfy UI and to start up Comfy UI. And it doesn't affect performance at all. In fact, I find that it actually performs a little bit better. So here we go, we're all open. Now we're back to where we were, and you can see I have my manage, so I can install all my custom nodes that I want. Now, let's say I want to use that upscaler I created. So I can come here. I'm going to add an upscaler. So upscale, model loader, which gives me my 4X Ultra, which is the one that I like to use, into the upscaler, image to image, image to image, and we're done. Now we can save this. Okay, so we say save workflow, call it upscale. Okay. Now we can go to use this workflow in the generate tab. And if we come here and we scroll all the way down and go to advanced options, you'll notice that we now have the upscale node control here. Okay. So we have taken what's here and now added it to the nice interface. So this is why we're able to create all these custom workflows. Now, that said, if I then turn this off, and I'm going to refresh this page, and I scroll down and go to custom workflow, you can see that I can select upscale here. And when I scroll down, that upscale window is not here. So that's why I prefer to not use the custom workflow, come into the editor, go use workflow in tab, and that gives me the ability to change things as I see fit. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's generate something. So we're gonna go to models. We're gonna go 4x3, because why not? And let's just do the standard. So the one thing you'll notice compared to Comfy UI, you don't get as much information in the terminal window that's showing you the back end of Comfy running. You do not get a progress on this where it says, oh, it's taking 10 seconds, it's gonna take 30 seconds. Instead, you're looking right here. And you can see that you have your bar going across. And once that completes, it's then gonna go through the upscaler, because remember we added the upscaler. There's the upscaler doing its job. Okay, and then this is gonna pop in at higher resolution. Boom, now we have our image. Now, you have a couple ways you can save the image. You can click on it, open it, image save as. It's also saved to the outputs folder under raw. Now, if you like working with PNGs, this is set up for JPEG by default and not the highest quality JPEGs either. So you want to make sure that before you do some serious generation, you're going to come here, go to user, you're going to go to user settings, and you'll see here that it's saving as JPEG. You can set the DPI output. So if you do want to use JPEG, you can set it to 300 DPI if you're doing print. However, remember, you'll still probably need to upscale your images if you're going to print. But we can say, I want it in PNG, click save. And now anything that I generate and save will be a PNG instead of a JPEG. So right now, this is still a JPEG because we've already generated it. So if I generate a new one, this is going to save out as a PNG instead of a JPEG. So if you're used to the PNG, you really like PNG, you do have to change it within Swarm UI's user settings. If we look at the server stuff, there is some interesting stuff here. You can add additional backends. Now you have to add them manually. So if you wanted to have automatic 1111, you can do that. And you would do that by clicking on this. It's going to ask you where's the path to the start script, run the start script from there. You have server configuration. So if you like to do things like I do, where you network it out so you can access it anywhere, maybe from your phone, or even if you're not home, you can set your host here, which is set to star right now, which is the same as setting as localhost. You can set this to 0.0.0.0, open up the port on your router, and you will be able to connect from anywhere in the world. So that should get you started with Swarm. I hope you have a great time using it. I think it's one of the nicest user interfaces. I will say, however, it is not mobile friendly yet. However, they are talking a lot about mobile in their documentation, so I do believe that a mobile friendly version is coming. And remember, this is an alpha, so it's very early stages, but even being an alpha, this is now my daily user interface. I absolutely love it, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, hit that bell notification, and don't miss any of our tutorials. All right, we'll see you next time.